LJeH making my bed today, and wanted to say that we all make the bed that we sleep in, and sometimes we sleep in beds that we didn't make. And sometimes that serves us, and sometimes it does not. And we are living in a world where ultimately we have been sleeping in beds that are not ours and not in our best interest, and it has nothing to do with sex. So what do I mean when I invite you into this private space to make the bed symbolically, literally, and then to represent the symbolism of what it means to actually make the bed that I'm going to sleep in this evening and all the other evenings that follow, except for in a week and a half when I go to Sojourn Festival and make my tent my abode for the evenings that I am there. And I wanted to simply share that we have a responsibility to rise above the tyranny that would have others make our beds. My mom made this quilt. She loves color and creating with it, and she's damn good at it. Very grateful that I came through the ones that I did, from the lineage of the ones that I have come from and ultimately do not belong to, though do hope to be able to make amends where there have been differing perspectives because of the BS of all of what has been in our midst. The blue lily instead of the white lily, which normally is a symbol of peace, is on the back of another quilt my mom did. And blue is about self-expression, which I sleep under the lily of self-expression each night, which I didn't necessarily quite make that connection until now, here with you. And now I do get the beautiful, big, chakra-esque quilt my mom made for me, I believe after I got back from England, though it could have been while I was there. I do think it was after, actually. It definitely was. It was when I moved into my condo in Paris. Mom gave me this. And I am grateful that she is such an incredible artist with quilts. And I've always said, when the question of why I've not learned to quilt comes up, I quilt with words, for I am a writer, which is a status, so I'll correct that, and I will say I am a woman who writes. And what's interesting about that is that you could put the W on for the pen that I use in the hand that is mine, not filled with arms, because I believe that if we take up arms for someone else's war, then we are going to be in store for a really long night and fight. And what I also say is that that right can also be the RIGHT, that we can actually make right. We can make things right by standing as we might. I am a woman. In my private capacity, with all common law rights reserved at all times, which is the unwritten and unlimited law that I can draw from at any time. I draw with my hand via lawful notices. And then I send those lawful notices to any man or woman who may or may not be acting on behalf of an entity, corporate entity. Still, what is an entity but a thought form that accrues energy when we give it ours? That is what a man or woman working for the corpse that is converted into a status of employee or other would see themselves to be, just as the one carrying arms on behalf of the military sees himself to be a soldier or her. But the reality is, he or she is a man or woman carrying arms to fight someone else's war. And when the arms are full, the hands are full with arms of another's war, he or she cannot use the pen to then hold another man or woman accountable, liable, and responsible for their choice to harm one another. So what I believe we must do is take the suits, which are the statuses, titles, personages, positions, off of the men and women wearing them. And we all stand in our private capacity, recognizing there is private space, and then there is private capacity. For we are in a mixed war between the public and private. A mixed war is where on one side it's public, on the other it's private. When I claim to be a woman writing, or a woman that writes, I am the subject, and the verb is what I do. When you article, that is when you learn the conversion of a woman who writes into a writer, which is status, which is less than but seem to be more, because not everyone's a writer. Not everyone is a published author, which I now am. I don't have the book on hand in this moment to share, but Fully Committed is the title of it, not because I chose it, but in fact it chose me when it dropped back in 2017. And I said, fully committed, are you kidding? I might have had commitment issues. And used coping mechanisms in order to disguise the call, as we do, within the sacred sojourn of the soul, that we each maneuver through when the call comes to leave the comfort zone of home, which is where we know the bed that we sleep in. We know the ridges and edges, and we are very familiar with where we normally exist. But when the call comes in, and the call for me was to write Fully Committed, we then veil the unrest of recognizing where we are and where we need to go is not the same. And we need to change in order to actually experience that. And what we've come to believe is that we need to change into the status that we think we become through the journey. And the truth is, we just need to take the journey in order to bring back the lived experience we can contribute and share, because we embody a new energetic signature as one who does things and knows to claim the right to stay in that capacity, for capacity is everything. So that conversion is a threat to us all. And if we do not stall, or if we do stall longer than we already have, then in the attempted corporatocratic takeover that we're in now, we're going to see people potentially become unwell because they followed rules, mandates, edicts, and fiats of those who are given power because of positions, sometimes earned, not always. But what I believe we must do is take our power back before we subject ourselves to things that would convert us into property, which is proper to the one who claims jurisdiction over the man or woman who dropped a knee to be knighted, which is the dark night with the K of the ego, where we actually recognize the need to drop the statuses and suits and titles that we have picked up and thought were us. The identity we formed was because of what we did, rather than who we are. But that is in the valley of transformation within the sacred sojourn of the soul, within Fully Committed, the sacred sojourn of now, where I break down all of this at a deeper level. What I say is that when you do get stripped bare of all of the suits, recognizing we hang a suit out to dry, and yet culturally, which is the cult you rally, accepted belief that we have bought into, becoming a belief system, or BS, some subscribe to and others do not, and then we say, oh, but we must have fought over that right to believe as we do. Well, it was our forefathers who did fight for us, and now we must do the same. And we must recognize it will not be in the name of any man or woman or country other than our own, and to recognize that we have a common hue and a common enemy. The hue is just an aspect of the man or woman that wears the meat suit while we're here, and must pay for the choices that we make as we draw near to the end of the life that we get to live. For the devil is lived backwards. Ponder, and then consider what you could be by choosing to do what is right now. Do not allow yourself to be coerced, which is another name for bullying, by another named man or woman on a form that would say you must do this in order to keep that. Well, I tell you, you stay as you are, doing things, and claim your right to do it, and fight for your right to remain an original, lest you become ab, which means from or away from the original. No disrespect intended to those natives of these lands that were screwed in the past because they trusted ones who worked for corporate entities that did not honor their word and created a language all of their own. Who, to know the language and use it properly, you must swear an oath of allegiance to the bar, to keep the bar at a certain level and only walk other men and women that have been converted into statuses to that bar, to that line, and then once it could cross the line and expose the lie, you say, oh, sorry, can't go any further with you, you're on your own. Well, we're always on our own through the trials and tribulations of life. It's not nice, but it is true. And you can do what is required if you will take up your pen in the hand that only a man or woman can command. For we all have free choice, free will, and we must choose to do what is right, I believe. So I will put the case on my pillow now and simply say, as a final message in this message, that we all make our bed, and at the end of our life we will pay. So instead of selling out our fellow man or woman now and accruing karma that our soul will pay for in the end, why not sleep well by knowing that we did what we could, which was use lawful notices, make claims in the said lawful notice, which is different from legal, for that is a fiction, and this is real. Real not being synonymous with nonfiction, for the universe does not differentiate negatives, therefore it focuses on the fiction when we just say nonfiction and think that that means what is true. That is BS. A belief system based on a fiction that requires even truth be converted to a not lie. That is not the truth, and we must understand why we have been converted to less in order to think we were more. And now we return to the truth of the matter, which is that men and women, acting on behalf of corporate entities, are liable in their personal and private capacity. And that when we actually put their name on the form that we use, not anyone else's form but our own, and we breathe ourselves back into the moment, and we work through all of the emotions that come up when we call back fragments of ourselves from other times where we have denied the truth and ourselves in the process, and we feel our way through the darkness, we can then take each of the men and women that are acting dishonorably to the cleaners. And that means taking their suits off and not letting the man or woman hang to dry, because only a suit can do that. But it is to say that we need to stop letting those suits protect the man or woman wearing them, because we all know that the man or woman, when the suit is off, is liable, and we can hold them responsible and accountable for their actions while even working wearing the suit, after they have got the boot from the corpse that no longer offers an umbrella of protection and says, sorry, you're on your own. The corpse and those working within the fiction can only do so much as what ones who do not remember who and whose we are allow them to do. But once we do not permit them to use their permits to give us fines that say we're fine, which is fed up, insecure, negative, neurotic, emotional, and we instead say, you're liable. Not with an extra E for the energy that we have given the lies, but you're accountable. and responsible. And I say, instead of reacting, we actually respond collectively in our own lives. Because Gandhi said, be the change you seek in the world. But you must start with your own. You have a world. It includes the people that are in your midst, who love you because you are connected through the web of life. We have been told we are in need of connecting the dots, thinking that was thoughts. It is not. We are the dots. We must be connected. Divide and conquer is a war strategy that has been used to divide us from one another by starting within our own selves. So as we correct our own worlds with the ones that are in it first, that then radiates outwards, because those who love us, or those who know us, see the change in us and say, what's different? Don't see something tangible specifically, but I sense it, I feel it. We become safe havens, which is vibrational, because we have been through the journey. And we now carry new keys that ones without those keys can see, because they can feel it, for truth is resonant. And then they say, I want those, so help me breathe myself back into the moment where all my power exists, and embrace the emotions that arise to be dealt with in the now, because that is the only time we ever have, except for in our minds, which would make us find fault with where we are at the expense of where we were or need to be. Other than here, be where you are, fully feel it, and recognize your past brought you here to where you are in this moment to receive this message. It is a reflection of your previous level of awareness of your potential, not your potential. Your future will be a reflection of your awareness of your potential and the steps you are willing to take. For within the law of attraction that had so much hype about it in 2006 when The Secret was released, what was left out is that the 6 most important letters of law of attraction is action. We must back our words with action. We must live honorably. Good faith is actually a practice that we must demonstrate we are doing, as the legal beagles must too. And if they cannot, then they are in dishonor. They are in bad faith. Did you know a legal contract is only binding if there was full disclosure and consent? Informed consent is required for a contract to be binding. Well, if one cannot provide the full details of a contract, we do not need to contract the substance to fit the form that we are told to conform to. The con is for your consciousness. Know who and whose you are. We're going to go deeper into that with a special practice launching September 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll share the link where you can get more information on my website. And I would love for you to be part of that as we actually journey inward, which is where our power exists. The light is within us. I am the light. I am the way. I am are the words that either set us free or keep us bound in captivity. We choose, for we are the co-creators of the world that we are giving our conscience to. We are exercising our conscience in, and then that is expanding or contracting our consciousness. We get to choose. Consciousness and conscience, not the same, not equal. One is within. One expands without. Both require the elimination of doubt in who and whose we are, so that we can come back to the truth. We are. I am. You are. We are. When the I turns to a we, illness becomes wellness. Malcolm X said that. I think it's brilliant. I'd love to know what you have to say about all of this, so leave a comment down below. Give this a like, and if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do. For we are all radio transmitters sending out signals, sending out messages. And for now, I would love for you to be able to gain access to what I bring forward into the world through this means. So thank you. Peace out. Peace in. Peace be with you. Peace be you.